Hail, hail. Good evening, folks, and welcome along to this Monday night episode 152 of the Endless Celts Podcast. My name's Anthony, one of the show's regular contributors that we're hosting tonight, and delighted to be alongside one of our other fellow regulars, Mr. William Dobbin. How are you tonight, mate?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well. I was running in for, just got in for work there. I thought I wasn't going to make it for a second, but all good. Looking forward to talking about the weekend's game.
Top man. And always great to have Mr. Nostalgia from the Bhoys bus on with us as well. Mr. Phil McGinley's with us tonight. How are you, mate?
I'm all good, Anthony. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm always happy to come on and talk about Celtic. So, yeah, it's just more off my back the days. I'm always happy to go anywhere. If you say, Phil, want to come talk about Celtic somewhere? I'll come and talk about Celtic, no problem at all. So, massive thank you.
And it's always good on the back of a massive win as well, which is all good. But as I say, before we go into all the stuff about the match, I have to disclaimer that I've only seen the extended highlights of the game this morning because I was away at Disneyland with the family over the weekend. It was just the land of make believe and fairy tales. I think at one point I was just surprised I never bumped into Dave King at one point. But yeah, apart from that, it was a cracking weekend. And also, it's good to when you're waiting on Buzz Lightyear to go by in his parade, and you're knowing that you're 3-0 up at half time. It's always good. Just makes the holiday. And I seen Jed Thomas already giving us an evening to everyone that's kind of tuning in so far. But Mr. Thomas bumped into a mutual friend of ours on the flight home last night, Mr. Gary Corrigan. So he was telling you he was asking for you, and he can't wait to watch you when you're on here in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, evening to all the regulars. It's always good to have you with us. And Stephen's not sent me the Beer 52 script, but I'm sure we've all done it. We know what the script is by now. Beer 52 are our show sponsors. If you just go onto their website and use our code CELTS, you'll get if you cover the postage, and you'll get a free a box of beer, and it's got all sorts of goodies inside it as well. So can't knock back a baby as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, no.
You can knock back plenty, but just this way.
Oh, I certainly can. Absolutely. So, Phil, I'm going to come to you first, mate. Just sort of, as I say, it was a great return to winning ways after the disappointment of our match against Leipzig on last Tuesday. What were your thoughts on the game in general on Saturday as we got back to our regular winning ways?
It was a welcomed return to form because, we've obviously been a bit stagnant, I guess would be the word, but we're still winning games. We're still grinding it out. But, we've started the season, and what's become Ange's trademark is we usually steamroll our teams quite early. But we seem to have staggered that. But yeah, there was early on in that game there, you could tell this was going to be a big one. Well, 3-0 after about half an hour. It was in the stadium. You just felt that sort of momentum's coming here, and yeah, we just blew them away. Hibs were not up to much at all. I'm surprised they even got a goal out of it because they just created very, very little. But that was a great performance overall. 6 goals, can't complain. Yeah, James Forrest as well, bagging a hat trick coming in out of the cold. A few people may have raised their eyebrow looking at the team sheet. I'll put my hand up and say, me, I was like, oh, James Forrest, that's a bit okay, but no, he was in the right place at the right time. He put them away. So yeah, fair play to the wee man. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed Saturday. It was good to see them back to that type of winning way.
It sure was, and I think what makes it even more pleasing, Wally, is the fact that Hibs have been on a pretty decent run of form themselves. Obviously, Lee Johnson's had them playing some great stuff. They've racked up a few consecutive victories. Obviously, we know Ryan Porteous has been grabbing all the headlines for the right reasons as well. There was obviously a few murmurings beforehand. Was this potentially a dress rehearsal before Celtic would put in a bid for him in the summer or in January? Whether that comes to fruition or not, I'm not sure, and I'm not convinced entirely by any means that he would usurp any of the regular centre halves that we have at present. But it's always, Hibs are definitely the good guys of Edinburgh compared to their nearest rivals. But it is always great to get a high-scoring victory, isn't it?
Definitely, mate. I think we played fantastic stuff, as I believe we have been playing. I thought it was similar to the Motherwell performance where we completely dominated. We were just clinical this week, and that's the difference. I know there's been a bit of, I don't know if negativity is the right word, but a bit of, because of the Champions League goings on, but it was just nice to get back to that the same free-flowing football we have been playing, but being more clinical and putting the ball in the back of the net. And like you said, Hibs they're on a decent run of form. And what I would say is Lee Johnson said before the game about how he promises the Hibs fans that he's going to go and attack every team. It doesn't matter who it is, and they did not come out and attack us on Saturday. They did the exact opposite, actually. So I was a bit surprised, but Big Stephen, I'll be hoping that the Porteous rumours are true, but not for me at the moment. But great performance. Could have been even more goals for us, which is incredible. With the fact that Hibs are the third best team in Scotland at the moment, as the table lies. So great performance, and I thought it was the best way to kind of shut up a few critics that have been going on the last few weeks. So perfect.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm going to just come right back to you because I know that you are a fully paid up, subscribed member, as am I, of the man that grabbed all the headlines on Saturday, Mr. James Forrest. 14 seasons in a row now, he's got on the score sheet for Celtic. He's been a tremendous servant for the club. He's obviously had his ups and downs throughout those 14 years, nearly a decade and a half. But on Saturday, he became one of the members of the legendary 100 club by grabbing. He started the day on 97, he ended it on 100. He just stole the show, didn't he?
Oh, he was phenomenal. And I know a few of the guys, Ross especially on the podcast recently, has been clamouring for him to get a start. He's obviously filled in the pecking order, and I loved the gaffer coming out and saying that there was a bit of, when he got the deal, there was a bit of clamour about it as well, and people were saying it's a strange one because it's a 3-year deal, I think it was, and his age, and he's not offering as much, and people were kind of saying it was sort of the sympathy vote or keeping the man around because of what he brings to the club and the experience he's got. But the boy still got it, and I'm a massive fan. I've been saying, I said even last year he was obviously had tough times with injuries, but he popped up with a few big goals. The cup semi-final was one against
last year, yeah,
last year, big one. I know he came on at Livy as well, away, which we were talking before we came on, is a bit of a nightmare ground for us, and he's got his goal there. I think he's a fantastic player. I'm not saying he should be playing week in, week out. I don't think he's capable now, to be honest with you, with his injuries. But what a player to fall back on, and what a performance he's shown. He's got such an eye for a goal, as his record proves. And I don't think it's anything to be sniffed at, by the way. That's an unbelievable achievement for him to score 100 goals. And I don't think he's far away for 100 assists for the club as well.
Yeah, I think he's 98 or 99. If Alistair's watching, he'll have the exact number, I'm sure. But I think, but he could very well hit 100 assists if he starts on Wednesday night as well. It's absolutely incredible.
If that's not legendary status at a club, I don't know what is.
Well, more to that to potentially come on agree to disagree later. But just kind of to touch on what Wally was saying there, Phil, about his eye for goal. The 3 goals that he scored on Saturday, the first one coming in for the left-hand side, although he's quite, he's pretty much a 6-yard box, and it's a fantastic ball in. There's no two ways about it from Haksabanovic, but it's the way he moves his body to get into that position, which makes it look a lot easier than what it was when you're trying to take a touch like that, to put the ball in the net like that first time. The second one, obviously, he tries the shot, didn't quite come off. There's Alistair confirming for us, 99, Mr. Jack. And good evening to you as well. And the second one, obviously, there's a few rebounds and blocks and what have you, and he's still there, the anticipation, and he gets over the line, much to the dismay of the sports scene panel last night, who were debating whether it crossed the line or not. That's really for the neutrals out with Scotland that tune in to watch us. Yep, that is the level of intelligence that many of our broadcasting team do have. And his third goal, which cemented his 100th, obviously there's no doubt it was an error from the Hibs midfield, but we picked up on that brilliantly. And Moy, fantastic pass, it has to be said, and we'll touch on his performance later on as well. But he just first time, top corner. It just shows you that variety that James Forrest brings, and I think that's why Ange was so desperate, even though he's probably said to him before he signed the contract that, he's not going to feature every week, he's not going to play every game, but he wanted him around the dressing room and to deliver on days like Saturday, when the pressure was on with the last few results not necessarily going our way, but he came up and came up trumps for us again.
Oh, he did. I think that's basically the idea of like a sort of role model professional within the team, where the guy knows now he's at a stage where he isn't going to play every week, and he seems like the type of boy that isn't going to demand to walk out of the manager's dressing room and go, I want to be playing every week. He kind of knows his role within the team, and if he can come in and contribute like that when he does get the nod, then fair play to the lad. I mean, his first goal, he's in the right place, right time. Now, we talk about how he's regressing in pace, but he didn't need to have blistering pace to just know the awareness to just be at that back post for the tap in. The second goal, well, David Marshall, he's just a bit of a clanger in Glasgow in recent years with the Euros last year with the one at Hampden getting lobbed through the halfway line. And then there was the third one. The weird thing was when he scored, I want to say when he scored the second one, the PA announcer said his 99th goal, and genuinely at that point, I think most people would have thought that he just felt it's in the air, it's going to happen, because he's like, getting his 99th goal for the club. So then suddenly, like, it's coming, it's going to be today, and there he was. It was a great ball over the top, and once he was through, it was like, nah, there's no stopping. Because one of the things that James Forrest gets accused of by many fans is sometimes he can hide in a game when something's not going his way, kind of, vanishes. But obviously with the 2 goals, he's flying high, he's getting in all the right places. He made himself available for that pass. He made sure he made that run so the Moy could pick him out. And you knew when he was in 1-on-1, he's no missing this. It's destined, it's meant to be, written in the stars. Goal number 100, and fantastic moment for the lads. So fair play to him.
Couldn't agree more. And I'll just sort of leave it to yourself to finish up, William. I think as Phil was saying there, he's a great role model to have around the dressing room. I think that's kind of what Ange was touching on after the game when he was paying tribute to him. But we've seen some of the clips of the season review DVD that just came out last week. I don't know if anyone in the comments has managed to get their hands on a copy yet, but obviously some of the footage is leaked online, and it's the perfect footage. I think it's sort of coming up with 2 or 3 games to go to the end of the season, and it's Callum McGregor just reminding them all to always set the standards, and we're so close now, don't let anything drop. I get the feeling that perhaps James will elude some of those standards himself. He might not say it in the most, I don't know the man too well personally, but I can imagine Jamesy not being the loudest in the dressing room, but he's more of that kind of leading by example sort of player, and I just think that's kind of invaluable to have around, especially with such a young squad that we have at the moment.
Aye, agreed. That's an interesting one, because I know there's been a bit of clamour again about CCV and he's the captain, but in the huddle he's not the one giving the instructions. I wonder if Jamesy would be one of these boys that steps up and does that. I would imagine so. Just to touch on his goals, 2 years are bang on. The first goal's back post, the second goal he's on the penalty spot. He's never. I think that's one thing for me with Abada, maybe, that he's consistently hitting that back post rather than try to change it up a bit. And Forrest was excellent, and then the third goal was just a wonderful finish. I think he's massive to the club this year. I think we kind of talked about it when with the whole situation with Howden and how Bruni left, and how we thought he could have still had a massive influence at the club. He could still play, but his experience and his leadership qualities. Looking back now, I think it's probably the best thing that could have happened for Calmac, Bruni going at the time he did, rather than staying on. And I think Forrest is, he's another one that his voice will be heard in the dressing room. But you're right, more than anything, he shows it on the park, and he's an ultimate professional. The likes of him and Calmac, for me, you never see them on social media. You never see stories of them in the paper, drinking or whatever. They've not got Instagrams, or their full focus is on the football. And James Forrest has dedicated his life to that, and it's shown, because what he's done at the club is nothing short of remarkable, and he deserves every inch of praise that he's been getting since the weekend, before and after. He's just a wonderful, wonderful player, and I've been a critic of his as well. He was a whipping boy at times, kind of before Rodgers came in. He was the one that kind of everybody got on the back, kind of the Greg Taylor back then. But he's proven his worth tenfold. He's been magnificent ever since he first came into the team. I'm so pleased he's got in, and I'm so pleased that he's got to the 100, because I think if he didn't, it would have been a real shame. And he's not finished yet. still got years left in him, and he still looks fit as a fiddle. I think he looks stronger now. I don't know if it's because he's been out, he's maybe worked a bit more in the gym, but I just think he's been magnificent, and I'm just so pleased he got his hat-trick.
I totally agree. I think he's going to be a real kind of asset to have as this season goes on, because we're in for a long, obviously we're stopping for the World Cup, but after December, it's pretty relentless between now and the springtime, so we're going to need everyone available to us. And he's always somebody good to have, either on the pitch or in reserve, ready to come on any time. Evening, Kaiser, and evening to everyone for coming along. Thanks for all your comments in the box. Willie's on the comment section tonight, and he's bringing everything up. And just obviously, I've seen a few people mentioning Frank McGarvey. We're obviously going to do a special tribute to him just as near the end of the show. But don't worry, folks. It's definitely on the cards. And good evening to our friends over at the Boise Bus. Sorry, Phil's took a wee quick detour onto our stop. Russell,
signed a short-term loan deal, mate.
That's it. We'll have him back with you guys for your show starting at 9 o'clock. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, evening to all the guys on the bus, and don't forget to tune in today, guys, once the show is finished as well. But Saturday, it wasn't just James Forrest that was on fire. Phil, we also had man who's perhaps there's been a lot of sort of clamour for him to start more games than he perhaps already has this season, and that's Georgios Giakoumakis. Anytime he's come off the bench so far this season, more or less, he's delivered every time. This was a rare start for him on Saturday, and we sure are, boys. He's one for the watching. And but Giakoumakis started on Saturday, and as I say, I know Liverpool fans have adopted that Dua Lipa song, "One Kiss is all it takes." I think it's one touch is all he needs for this guy, because that's another two goals on the bag for him. Again, he took them absolutely brilliantly. He just seems to be someone that he just needs one touch, and that's it. Balls in the back of the net. I think he's a fantastic player, and I can understand why some of the fans have perhaps been a bit frustrated that I'm not getting more starts. That's not to say I'm saying Kyogo should be dropped or anything like that, but I just think he's so good, and we've seen that at the second half of last season when he was our only option up front when Kyogo was injured. He really stepped up to the plate, and that form just seems to be continuing into this season.
I absolutely love the guy. Like, honestly, he might easily be my favourite player right now in this current Celtic squad, because as we keep saying, he's chaos. Giakoumakis, he does bring chaos to opposition defenders. Like, they don't know how to deal with him. His goal record speaks for itself right now, and I'm really happy that he's getting a few games now, because I think with Kyogo being a bit out of form, if that's the way to say it, I think it's good if Giakoumakis comes and gets some goals, because then Kyogo thinks, okay, maybe my place isn't safe here. When he comes back into the team, he'll start putting some of those chances away. So it's a good thing if you've got both of them firing on all cylinders. Of course, we do get the dilemma about, can you play the two of them in the same team? Can you put Kyogo out wide and Giakoumakis out? Because Giakoumakis can only play in one position in the forward line. The other forwards we've got are all very fluid in the way they can rotate around. So Giakoumakis is basically an old school centre forward, big bully guy up front, barges defenders out the way. But that's the thing. People might look at him and think of a big physical guy. That's all he is, some big clogger up front. No, he's got a lot of finesse, a lot of skill. And yeah, some of the finishes that he pulls off are absolute top notch. So his overhead kicks and stuff like that, the guy just goes for like anything. It doesn't matter what angle it's coming in at. He'll just go for it. But no, I absolutely love the guy. And I'm glad that he, again, weighed him with some goals. There was a wee heart in the mouth where the two of them were on the park at the same time. And only 30 seconds after Kyogo comes on, Giakoumakis went for that 50-50 ball with the Hibs defender, gets up and he's holding the back of his thigh. And I was like, there you go. They've only been on the park together for 30 seconds already. He's injured. And then 30 seconds after that, he scored the second goal. And I was like, oh, but I think he might have aggravated that a little bit in his knee side. Hopefully it's not anything too serious. But yeah, there was that sinking feeling where this can only happen to Celtic. This is such a Celtic thing to happen. We finally get a chance to see the two of them play together, and he's got a knock seconds in. So hopefully nothing too serious there. But I'm delighted for him. And he definitely came rolling back there with the 2 goals at the weekend, man.
I mean, that's the thing, Wally. I mean, obviously, he's not started as often as a lot of supporters perhaps would have liked. And, whether and it was perhaps the same last season as well. obviously got off to the shaky start. You think of the missed penalty, etc. And there was a few fans saying, is he perhaps going to cut it at Celtic? But we've seen once he got a run of games just how talented he was. And I look back to when obviously it was obviously heart and mouth after a minute against Rangers when Kyogo had to come off, but it was a strange feeling. The minute Giakoumakis came on, he just looked up for it, and you thought this he's going to run this Rangers defence ragged that day, and he really did. And he seemed to do pretty much the same again on Saturday against Hibs.
He did, mate. I think there's a lot of chat in the comments screaming for GG to be the first name on the team sheet at the moment, and I have to say I agree. I've always said on the pod in the past, and got a bit of stick for it actually, to say that I actually personally don't think Kyogo's the best finisher. I think sometimes he takes 3 or 4 chances before he puts it away, where I think GG's the polar opposite. And in a team where we're talking about how many chances we're creating at the moment and we're not clinical enough, for me, he's got to start. And I can understand Angie's Kyogo was his number one man from the start of the season, and still is, it looks like. But every time GG comes in and gets half an hour, he's still nicking his goal. And I just think he's proved more in me in this first quarter, third of the season, however far we're through. I think he's proved to me that he should be our number 9. He should be the starting. He should pick up that starting shot for me. I just think he's an absolute menace, like you said, and he scores. He's just always. We talked about Forrest. GG similar, just always seems to be in the right place at the right time, and such a good reactive finisher. I think maybe if we started him in these Champions League games, we maybe had a better chance. I feel like the way we play, especially in the Champions League this year, the last 20 minutes we've been absolutely dead on our feet, and I think we need to get an early goal in games. And the longer it goes on without the goal, we tend to kind of start to suffer a bit more. And I just think GG's just a far better finisher in my opinion. And at the moment, I'm in agreement with most. I think GG's the one that should have that shot.
Yeah, but it's definitely more than a fair argument. As I say, anytime he's asked to, there we go, Monty, always sitting on the fence as ever. But that's the thing with him. Anytime he's asked to, whether it be from the bench or when he's starting, I can't really remember a time when, certainly recently, where Giakoumakis hasn't delivered, and it's incredible. And he just always looks dead happy playing for the club as well. You never see him sort of moaning to journalists or anything like that if he's not starting or whatever. When he's asked to come on, he does what's asked of him, and that's all you can really ask for. And as I say, as a guy, GG starts, GG scores. Simple. As I say, one touch is all he needs. I know 99 Red Balloon seems to be his song when he scores at Parkhead at the moment. I just think Dua Lipa's is a better shout. Maybe I'm just that's just wishful thinking on my part. We can get her in to do the Paradise Windfall. You never know, but such is life, I'm just back for the lander where dreams come true. So, we can only hope. And but there was obviously James Forrest with 3, Georgios Giakoumakis with 2 on Saturday, boys. But Willie, of course, there was one other guy on the score sheet. He only got 1 goal, however. That's Sir Gyg and Meada, who's come in for a lot of flack as of late. So I'm leaving it up to you. If he's only scoring 1 goal, what do we think the correct punishment is? Do we drop him? Do we loan him out? Do we make him train with the reserves? Do we sacrifice him to the human wicker man? I don't know. What would keep the Sweetie Rustlers happy, do you think?
I think other than Forrest scoring, if you wanted one man to score on Saturday, it was Dyson. And I think I don't know. Is Haksabanovic, was it an injury he went off for at halftime? Because I'm not so sure. For me, I think we were that far ahead, and he's thinking there's goals in this game. We need to get Dyson on and get him his goal. I'm a big fan. I mean, I know he's been getting a lot of stick recently, and I understand because of the stats and his assists and his goal tally, etc. But I think he offers so much more. But I can understand because we've got an abundance of talent in these wide areas. And I know Haksabanovic has been playing 10 before the weekend, but for me, Haksabanovic is a winger, and I thought he showed that. I thought he was absolutely electric on Saturday. That first half, I thought he was unbelievable on the wing. You see when he brought CCV's like 50-yard pass down, and he's beating Bhoys and the crosses he's making, and I'd be starting him in the wings. So I understand the stick Maeda's been getting to an extent, but I think he's a wonderful footballer. I think the gaffer, again, as usual, the gaffer gets it right, and he was getting. I think his interview after the Champions League was they were screaming for him to drop him and the rest of it, and I think his reply was, so because he's not the finished article, I've just to stop playing him. No, we're here. This is progression, all the rest of it. So, so glad to see him get his goal. Please, he's back in amongst it, and hopefully he can start hitting the ground running for here.
I very much agree. As I say, we agree that perhaps he's not been at his. We know how fast he is for one thing, Phil. And a lot of the criticism that comes is that he doesn't take his chances, and of course you think of that glorious one at 0-0 against Madrid. If that falls to a Giakoumakis, for example, you're already 1-0 up against the European champions. But no one can, I don't think, criticise him for work rate or effort. I just think it seems to be the case that every player has a bit of a drop in form sometimes, and I think obviously it seems to have coincided with perhaps the results, perhaps not going, or the performances not being as sort of fluid as what they were at the start of the season. And I think when that happens, and especially in losing to St Mirren in the manner that we did, there's always, fans will naturally look for someone to perhaps, shoulder more of the blame than others, shall we say. And, Greg Taylor seems to be has been getting it a lot, possibly last season. I think the comments made by Jota, etc., have kind of, at the start of the seasons, have sort of sheltered him a little bit from that kind of criticism, but it seems to have moved on to Meada so far. What's your kind of thoughts on him, kind of overall this season, and him coming on and scoring on Saturday?
Well, I'm delighted for him to get a goal. Same as what William said, I think if everybody could pick somebody they want to see score, the guy has been short of confidence. He doesn't hide. That's one thing. He's clearly not had it been going his way for many games now, but you don't see him hiding for the ball or anything. He's always getting himself back into position, but I think it's just a lack of composure at times in front of goal. And he's not the only one. Kyogo at times can miss chances. We've seen a bad job. It seems like our forwards at times have bad moments in front of goal, but Meada seems to get singled out more than most. I said this yesterday. I was talking to Regan and Mark on the show at the game on just before he scored. I swear to God, the whole bottom end of the Jockstein stand all shouted "leave it" at the exact same time that Kyogo and Meada ran for the same ball. It's almost like they were going to run into each other, and with the way Maeda's luck's been at the moment, you just thought they will run into each other here, end up tackling his own teammate. But no, it just seems like as the ball was coming to Kyogo, it was just like everyone shouted, "Leave it!" And he did leave, just dummied it. And but I noticed Meada, even in scoring, he fell over. He is the scorer of rubbish goals, essentially. They all count at the end of the day, but he never scores an amazing goal. It's always a bit sloppy, a wee bit unorthodox, to say the least. But no, he put it away, and I think everyone's happy. At the end of the day, we all want to see anyone in a Celtic shirt succeed. Anyone that points at any fan media and goes, "Oh, you've got an agenda against this guy." No, we all want to see the club succeed and these players succeed. We want to be proven wrong. So it's good to see. Hopefully, Meada can kick on from this, and that gives him a wee bit of confidence back, because Ange clearly believes in the guy. Even though many fans are kind of like, don't know if he should be starting, but Ange definitely, he made him a priority signing. Remember, he was the guy that he wanted before Kyogo, and we've seen it this season. That was the 5th time, I think, that he's brought him on bang on half time. When he's been on the bench, he's brought him on. I think Haksabanovic did have a slight knock. It was a precautionary move. But the other times, it's been a tactical thing, bringing him on dead on half time. So Ange wants to make sure he's always getting game time of some sort, even if he doesn't start a game. But delighted to see him get a goal anyway, because hopefully it just gets him to kick on a wee bit and get some confidence back in him. Because when he came in for the second half of last season, he did contribute, I think, like 9 goals or something and multiple assists. So, he's got it in him. There's something there.
I always just think that early goal he scored against Hibs, funnily enough, that first game back after the winter break, when both him and Hatate started that game, and then obviously Ideguchi came on, and later on in the second half, I just felt that set the tone for the second half of last season. I just felt it was like we came back from January, I think it was 6 behind or 4 behind at that point, and it was just a case of we are going for this. And 3 weeks later we were top of the league, and we never relented that spot for the rest of the campaign. So as I say, delighted that he got on the score sheet, and hopefully this is he can get back to the form that we know he's capable of. And as I say, obviously as supporters, we're always going to, especially at a club like Celtic, when you more often than not you are winning. On the days you just slip up, there will be players that tend to pick up more criticism than most. But as I say, when you have days like Saturday, it's always good to spread the praise as well. And talking of that, Willie, I think what was great about Saturday as well was the fact that a few players, sometimes through necessity or some just Ange want to mix things up a bit, that there were some starts for boys that haven't featured too much. Think of Bernabei, who is, I thought, as I say, I didn't see the game, but the highlights that I've watched, some of his deliveries looked absolutely fantastic. Yep. Haksabanovic, that touch he takes from the long ball from Carter Vickers is absolutely exquisite. And the balls he was flinging in from that left-hand side just caused Hibs all sorts of issues. And of course, Aaron Moy just did Aaron Moy things. He made the simple stuff look easy. And I would, as I say, I've only seen extended highlights, but it looks as if he perhaps had his finest game in a Celtic jersey so far.
I would agree with that, mate. I think, I'm glad you touched on the amount of changes again, because I think there was a bit of debate about the St Mirren game, our one loss this season in the league, and it's about how we've had, it was far too many changes, and I totally disagreed with that. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's been 4 games now where we've made massive changes from the game before. I think the cup game against Ross County, which we absolutely, I think it finished 4-1, we dominated. There's a St Mirren result. St Johnstone, again, obviously last minute winner. Not the best performance, but again, then we've all guns firing, and we've won 6-1 again at the weekend. So I think the rotation's a good thing, we've always been screaming about how the depth of squad's good, so much better this season, and we've got 2 players for each position, and I think it's shown now, and especially this month, we've got so many games. I think we've got like 9-10 games in the 1 month in October. He needs to rotate. It's like you can see that it's starting now. There's Jota gone. We're talking about Haksabanovic is having a niggle and has to go off at half time. It's because of the amount of games that are building up, and we need to use our depth. And I think the guys that came in have been excellent. I've been really impressed with Bernabei. I'm a massive Taylor fan. I still think he's your number 1 left back, but Bernabei going forward looks fantastic. He's got a wonder left foot, and he's got pace to burn. Looks a real player. And I thought Moy, when Moy first come in, I wasn't too convinced, but ever since he's came in, I think he's been excellent. I think he's doing what he's meant to do. Comes on for 20 minutes a game, and when his job is in number 6, is to keep the ball, play the nice passes, and that's exactly what he's done for me. He played in number 10, I think, for me on Saturday. I was surprised when I seen the lineup. I thought he'll go into the 6 and O'Reilly will go back into number 10. And I've got to say, this is the first time I've been on since last Monday. And it was after the St Johnstone game, and I said, Matt O'Reilly's never a number 6 in a million years. If you play him in here, we'll get crucified. And I have to eat my words, because against Leipzig, I thought he was probably the best player in the park for us. I thought he was unbelievable in that role. So it might be that he's going to continue that role going forward, which is interesting. But Moy was excellent. His 2 assists were superb. The second one especially, with his bad foot, the left foot, where he clips it over the top, picks the boy out. Just unbelievable passing. And he probably should have had a goal as well if it wasn't for Kyogo, who's got an Aki getting in the way shots sometimes, by the way. Noticed that a bit. But we've got such a good squad. Domestically especially, we should be making the most of using these, I don't want to say fringe players, because I think everybody's got their part to play this season, especially with the run of fixtures we've got. And I think it's shown on Saturday. It's massive rotations, and we've absolutely dominated the game. Scored 6 and probably should have scored more.
But exactly, and that's the thing, Phil. Can I just ask your thoughts on the boys who perhaps don't feature as much? What you thought of their performances when they either started or came on during the game on Saturday evening, Paul. But also as well in regards to Moy, obviously we know at least possibly until the World Cup that our captain, Callum McGregor's going to be out. Is it going to be sort of players like Aaron Moy we're going to have to sort of rely on just for that experience. You know, he's played in the Premier League. He's done it with the Socceroos at the World International stage as well. I think perhaps his experience in the middle of the park is going to be invaluable for young guys like Matt O'Reilly, just so they know that they've got someone that they can trust on in the middle of the park in these massive run of games that we've got coming up.
I think it's easily Moyes' best performance so far, and I think that was down to the fact he didn't, go into that number 6 role. Because against St Mirren, it was very slow. We were used to McGregor being at the base of the midfield, takes the ball off the centre backs and starts the attacks really quickly. But Moy that day was very much slowing it down, and it was kind of indicative of how we play. So that game there at the weekend, he was pushed a bit further forward. O'Reilly was in there, and it all just seemed to click. So that Moyes got ability in him. I mean, I know there's been very much bad criticism from some circles. Obviously, myself, Russell, and those other ones on the bus, we've always been a bit underwhelmed by that one. But he's clearly shown that he's got some ability. When he's coming on for the bench, he's been doing that near beat-on role the last few years, coming on and seeing a game out, and he's doing that absolutely confidently. But it was really encouraging to see that performance at the weekend, and see the 2 assists speak for themselves. As for Bernabei, I think there's a moment at the end of the game, the very end, it seems to be talked about quite a lot at the moment. It was kind of a microcosm of his performance where he got past his Hibs defender, no problem, breezed past him, a wee shoulder barge, but nothing much in it. He's in a great position to square it across the goal. And a free kick was given inexplicably. A very delayed reaction by the referee as well, Steve McLean. Now, I know a lot of people have came out and said, it's an outrageous decision. There's people sticking up for it going, well, I mean, he's a winning 6-1, so what difference does it make? It's the principle of it all. It was clearly the wrong decision, but Bernabei was up and down that wing all day, but that summed it up at the very end when he breezed past, no problem. He's about to put the ball in and say, Kyogo. I think Kyogo doesn't finish it because he hears the whistle anyway, but it was an outrageous decision right at the end of the game. It would have been nice for Bernabei to get that wee assist on his copybook for the day, because he was putting good balls all day. But that one infuriated many people. Well, it wasn't the only decision that Stephen McLean gave at the weekend, but it infuriated many of us in the stands, because after what happened through the week, 7 was definitely the number that was in many people's head. Very nice to see another 7 goals scored in Glasgow,
By the way, see, just touching on Bernabei as well. Sorry, mate.
No, you go, boy.
I've just been talking about how I feel like as Champions League, especially the last half hour of games, we're looking dead in our feet. This boy's not at all since he's came in. He's obviously set up the winner against St Johnstone with a great run and an unbelievable ball. GG couldn't miss. And if Phil's right, he's doing it the same again at the end of this game, and he's still going forward. We scored 6 goals. He's still going forward, trying to get us more, which is what the gaffers want to do. I think he looks like a real player. I'm really pleased we've got him in, and I'm pleased that he's finally getting a wee bit of game time.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for Taylor as well, because it has to be said, Taylor the last few games has looked absolutely done in. 20 minutes to go, you could just tell he's absolutely done in. So I think it's been good for him as well to get a wee rest, and this boy's a player, this Bernabei.
I agree. As I say, from what I've seen of the game, some of the deliveries that he's been putting in were absolutely tremendous, and obviously that incredible decision that was given against him right at the end was absolutely ridiculous. And like you say, Phil, it wasn't the only ridiculous decision of the weekend. Obviously, we had a disallowed goal that would have made it 4-0 before half time for Rio Hatate on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Did we cut the linesman some slack though? Because he was only about 5 yards onside.
Yeah, it'll be interesting though at the end of this week, I believe it is, when VAR is officially part of Scottish football. So yeah, I think Mark Haney suggested that weekend there was the last weekend that officials had the chance to eat, essentially, but who knows what's going to happen with the VAR coming in. See, looking at how it's been implemented in England for the last 4 or 5 years, I'm looking forward to players getting flagged offside for their sleeve being marginally offside and stuff like that, because that's the type of stuff we're going to be up against. But the decisions of the weekend didn't surprise me at all. Is it a bias thing? Is it that? Or is it just the standard is terrible? I think the standard's just absolutely honking of referees in Scotland. We don't have professional referees in England, they do. And even at that, all of English referees aren't even perfect. But there's a lot of flaws in the system up here when it comes to refereeing. And the fact that one of the heads of the SFA is coming out last week and saying that VAR's going to be carnage when we introduce it. And it's like, that's really not the message you need to put out there. If you think that, then keep it indoors. Don't go out in the public and go, yeah, this is going to be a bit of a mess when we bring it in. Aye, great. Thanks for filling me with confidence, mate. Jesus, man. So, it should be we'll see if it can erase some of these daft decisions. But, yeah, some of the ones at the weekend, wasn't shocked at all, man. Wasn't shocked.
I'm going to stick with the VAR. I hadn't planned on really talking much about VAR, but I'm just going to bring this up just whilst we're on the subject, Molly, because I think we agree it was a bit of a shocker for the linesman on Saturday. But in speaking with VAR itself, you're bang on regarding the head of the SFA's comments about how much carnage it's going to be. Now, I accept none of us are SFA officials or grade 1 officials or whatever you want to call them. But we all know we're not splitting the atom here. It's VAR. All you're meant to be doing is, the way I see it, having another look at something to see if there's been a clear and obvious error, picking up on any, perhaps violent conduct, and seeing if there was I don't understand where this carnage is going to come from, because it's like, we don't need to be geologists to know when it's pissing down outside. Do you know what I mean? Just look at the footage and see whether it's a foul or not. And I get frustrated with it down south as well. I don't understand how it's infuriating how much they try and complicate what should be quite a simple process, Wally.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And everybody's screaming about VAR, and VAR's the problem. It's not VAR that's the problem. It's still the referee's decision.
Yep. Once
they look back at it. I know me and Ross had a bit of last night about it, about a certain decision that went in the game.
Sorry, I'll let you go back on, Malik. Just to you on that, so I only seen that incident today. I'm like you, I can understand why that was given, but for me, and I say it as a United fan, the goal should have stood for City for me. I think there's 100 fouls like that the full game, and I think that we and you are in the minority. Even listening to some of the podcasts today, they can say, "Oh, yep, I can understand. Yep, definitely a foul." But for me, fouls like that are 10 a penny, and I think you got to let the game flow. For me, it wasn't. I would have let the goal stand if I'm being perfectly honest.
Well, this was the debate between me and Ross last night, and because Ross is he's absolutely 100% certain it's a foul, and that's fair enough. I can see why that's his opinion, and but I'm like you. I just thought that if that's a foul, there's 100 of them, 100 penalties every weekend, because that's the sort of shit pulling that goes on in a box. But I thought his momentum was gone. But this is why I thought we were having a laugh last night, because I was like, this is what we're talking about VAR, but it's no VAR. It's still subjective. It's still somebody's opinion when we're looking at it. So if Ross is refereeing that game and he looks at the VAR on Sunday, he's given a foul. I'm not.
Yep.
It's not the VAR that's doing that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But you're bang on me. All it should be is just a look again, make the decision. That's it. I don't understand this whole it's going to be a catastrophe or whatever that's going on. It's there to help the refs.
That's what it's meant to be there for, and that's what I think, Phil. And I don't know about what your own thoughts on VAR are, but what frustrates me with it, and we can maybe even use the incident yesterday as an example at Anfield. Even when a match or a piece of play is slowed down and it's freeze framed, even the slightest little bit of contact can be made to look like a bit of a proper bludger, so to speak. Whereas if it was me, if I was in charge of the whole thing, I would basically have it only in place for, I think, goal line technology. I think we're all kind of agreed on that. If the ball's over the line or not, I think that's pretty fair. Only intervene if it's absolute violent conduct, an absolute elbow or into the face or something that the referee's missed, a very deliberate, intentional one where the referee's back's maybe turned. I think it could intervene then. And, or I'm talking the absolute clear, and we're talking clear and obvious errors. And I don't think yesterday's goal at Anfield would have qualified for one of them, because I think if we're going to start every little piece of play, and it takes away the enjoyment of the match for me. I mean, a ball goes in the net, and then you're taking it back 3 phases of play to see if somebody nudged somebody up at the other side of the park. I don't get where it's coming from. And as I say, before VAR, Phil Foden would have opened the scoring yesterday, and I think it was more Alisson was more complaining about the decision that he had 2 hands on the ball when Haaland took it off him. There wasn't a huge outcry about the pull on Thiago until VAR looked at it, and for me it interferes too much, and the referees on the pitch don't seem to have enough courage to say, no, I'm sticking with my original decision.
The thing that VAR does down south, especially, that really infuriates me, and I think there needs to be a wee bit more leeway in this one, is the very tedious offsides. I remember the very first season that they brought VAR in, and it was a real mess in England. The very first, it was almost like the English FA were going out of their way to make it look bad. But I remember there was a game; it was a Merseyside derby, and Liverpool scored a goal, but it came from a free kick out wide. And when the ball got flighted in, Sadio Mane, his instinct was to move towards the goal, but his arm moved out the way as he went to run. His arm is a little bit extended, but you can't score with your arm. But that was what was deemed offside, and it was like, it's not a body part you score with. I can maybe understand the leg, and it's a part you can score with, and it gives you, obviously, an advantage, and you could gain a yard. But it was like his arm was out extended, and it was like, I can't believe that. And when they freeze frame it, like you're saying, and they draw the line across the park, and then it gets moved a wee bit more and a wee bit more, and it's like, I can't bother this. And when you're talking about ruining the game, there's a really infamous one. I remember when Man City and Tottenham played in the Champions League, and Tottenham beat them. This year, Tottenham got to the final, and Sergio Aguero scored a last minute what seemed like was going to be a winner for City. And it got pulled back because in the build-up to it, it was like a ball deflected off of a City player very, very marginally on the way through, and City ended up scoring like 10 seconds later, and it took 7 or 8 minutes for them to decide that. All the City fans, euphoria, they're on the way to the Champions League semi-final, and then it was like, no, 7, 8 minutes later after reviewing it, and it's like, actually, it's no a goal, guys, and it's like, is that the type of stuff we're going to see? Is that the type of things that are going to happen? It's like, I don't even want to even imagine, like, if Celtic score like a last minute winner in a cup final, and then that happens or something. It's just like, oh my god.
Here's a point as well, by the way. Patrick McLaughlin, I think he makes a great point. See, the biggest thing for me, see when you're in the stadium, well, when you watch it on the TV, I've never been in a stadium when VAR's been implemented, but when something like that happens, the whole crowd's like, what's going on? We don't even know what. And I know in the English Premier League, they've got the big screens there so they can make you aware. No, all stadiums up here have got big screens in them. So how are the fans meant to know what the hell is going on when they're trying to make these decisions? I think that's a great point for Patrick McLaughlin there.
You're bang on, Wally, and so is Patrick. It's like the people in the stands paying the money to keep the show on the road are like almost, they're the last people to know whether or not a goal's going to be given or not. It's incredible. And I know Scott was saying as well, is it going to be getting wired live for the Loudon Tavern? Well, I think that's where most of the refs drink after a game these days, isn't it? So we shall wait with bated breath to see what it'll give. As I say, I'm not too encouraged by it. I'm not looking forward to it at all, and I don't think it's going to eradicate so many of the issues that we're plagued with in Scotland when it comes to poor refereeing. But we'll save it for another day. Phil, I just want to touch on a lot of the guys in the comments have been discussing. Obviously, and perhaps it was quite fitting that another player joined the 100 club on Saturday, because there was also an appearance at half time of one of the members of it as well. The legend himself, Mr. Frank McGarvey, a man who scored 113 goals and 245 starts for Celtic. Of course, most fans of that generation will remember him scoring the winner in the 1985 Cup final against Dundee United, a fantastic header into the corner. I think that might even well have been that might have been his last goal. That was goal 113. And then he went away. He got sold the following week, or he was getting told he was getting sold the following week. It was incredible, but it was very, very emotional. I've seen some of the footage of it. He's obviously been given a horrible diagnosis that he has cancer. But he was given a tremendous reception for the Celtic support when him and his daughter came out on the pitch. We just, obviously, all our thoughts and prayers are with him, aren't they?
Oh, without a doubt, man. It was emotional in the stadium. See, I myself have been affected by, I lost my mother in 2015. It was cancer as well, and it's a horrible, horrible thing you wouldn't wish upon anybody. But I think McGarvey, I was a bit before my time. I was born in 85, so 85 was the year of that cup final when he scored there, but that was the year I was born. But one of my mates I went to school with, his uncle is Frank McGarvey. My mate Chris Burns, who his brother Kieran Burns is a Scotland international power chair player. You might see him on Twitter quite prominent. He's got his own podcast stuff, but their uncle is Frank McGarvey. So I remember Chris always telling us that at school. But one of the stories I remember, I saw this in the official history DVD, and somebody in the comments will probably come in and tell us the exact year. but there was one of the years in the 80s that the title went down to the wire, and Billy McNeil was making it very, very much. I don't want to tell the players what the score is at halftime. It was Aberdeen. They were fighting for the title, and the boys came in at halftime. I think they were playing St Mirren, and Celtic were like 3-0 up. And nobody knew the score at Aberdeen, and Billy McNeil was like, I don't want to tell them anything. And then Frank McGarvey came on and went, Aberdeen's getting beat 2-0. But it's in the official history. I think maybe 81 or 82 will be one of those seasons. But I always got a chuckle out of that one. He's trying to keep it all doom, and he just goes running in and going, they're getting beat. We're going to win the title.
It's one of the ones that DVD is absolutely fantastic. I think it's on for about 7 hours. The 4-disc one, it's absolutely brilliant. And there's a brilliant bit in it. Well, just coming up at the end of that footage, and it's just going back through everyone who's contributed in the full thing. And when it cuts to Frank McGarvey, he says, "All I ever wanted in my life was to be a guy that scored a winning goal for Celtic with a couple of minutes to go." He went, "That's all I ever dreamt for as a football fan." He went, "It was my last act to do it in the cup final in '85." But of course, he gave us some 112 goals before that as well. As I say, obviously a little before our time, but his name is fully etched at Celtic Park. Absolutely,
surely is, mate. I think you've seen that with the reception he got and the outpouring of affection he's had since that has been announced. It was very emotional. I've seen his re-interview. I think it was Celtic TV did an interview with him as well to bring a tear to a glass eye. I was actually listening to the phone on the way home to work on Saturday as well, and they said it was Hugh Keevins, who I'm not a massive fan of, but he says his kind of first, he's got a lot of time for Frank because his kind of first way into the media and the journalism side of things was, and his first big story was Frank McGarvey phoning him to say, I know I've just scored in that cup final, but they've just put me up for sale. Hugh Keevins broke the story, and they were kind of talking about it. Can you imagine now if it was Jota phoning up the Clyde phone in and saying, by the way, they've just put me up for sale. Different days. Absolute legend. Sad to see, but I'm really pleased he got to experience what he did on Saturday and feel the love for the fans, because it's a club like no other, and I think they showed it again. So thoughts and prayers with him and his family. I hope he makes a speedy recovery. Legend. What more can you say?
Absolutely. Just one last wee thing on him, just to say your sort of some of the stories of Frank McGarvey. I'll bring one right up to date. It was last season, and it was when we were playing St Mirren just before Christmas. It was when we dropped the 2 points actually.
Yes.
And he was. I paid for St Mirren TV that night on the pay-per-view, and it was I can't remember the girl's name who was presenting, but Frank McGarvey, obviously ex St Mirren and Celtic, was he was doing the sort of kind of analysis and stuff at half time. And as you know, with all these the sort of smaller clubs that they don't have the great production value. We weren't exactly watching Sky Sports Super Sunday, but he'd done his best, and he was trying to give his expert analysis on it. And just before the action started in the second half, the female presenter went to Frank. So do you think St Mirren? This is on St Mirren TV, by the way. He goes, do you think if St Mirren do the same again, they could do a number on Celtic here? And he just went, well, I hope not, because I'm wanting Celtic to win. So, absolutely brilliant. You can't buy pattern like that. And he said to us on Saturday that he loves us all. Well, the feeling couldn't be more mutual, Frank. I'm sure I speak on behalf of all the boys at Endless Celts and the Boise bus that we're all thinking of you and the family, and fingers crossed you managed to pull through this. And as I say, you'll never walk alone with the Celtic family's right behind you. And just sort of a couple more things to get through, boys. Obviously, it's back to League Cup action Wednesday night. An early kick-off for reasons still unknown to me, but we kick off 6:15 Wednesday night. Obviously, Motherwell, they ran Rangers close yesterday in the league, but narrowly lost 2-1. So, you're kind of hoping that they'll be kind of blown out their arse early doors. And here's hoping. What would your sort of hopes for the game be? Obviously, apart from a win, Phil, but can you see it being a similar lineup to Saturday, or do you think with it being a League Cup match that they might ring the changes?
I think Seagrass will get a game again. I think there's a good chance he's going to be the cup goalkeeper for the time being. He's only played one game against Ross County in the cup, so I've got a funny feeling it'll be a bit odd if he misses out on this one, because when else is he going to get a game right now? Joe Hart's had a few big mistakes recently, and it doesn't look like Joe Hart's going to get changed, which is the right thing to do, because you don't want to stifle the keeper's confidence. But I think with the cup, I think Siegrist will come in terms of rotation. When it comes to, we don't really look to bring in any of the B team players. When we're rotating the team, the guys we're bringing in are just on the fringes of the first team, like we saw at the weekend, Forrest, Ralston and stuff like that. So it's not a massive dip in quality. I would expect a pretty similar lineup. I mean, Forrest has got to keep his place. He's got to. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Giacomakis could get another. I mean, if he didn't injure himself or anything, so he took a wee bit of a knock, it seems. If he's fit to go again, I would play him away at Motherwell in the cup, because Motherwell is one of those sort of hammer thrower type teams. So might do us the world of good to have Giacomakis up there to fight that. But yeah, I'm quite confident we can go there and march on, because I get a funny feeling for both Celtic and Rangers with the way the European campaigns go, and I think both of them are going to not have European football after Christmas. So things are the domestic treble is suddenly going to be something that's going to appeal to both of them again. So it's going to be all guns blazing for the trophies now. Because the League Cup's always the one that people look at and go, League Cup, I won't lose sleep if we lose it. No, but I say if our focus now changes, if we don't get European football second half of the season, I hope that's not the case. I hope we can somehow find a miracle to sneak through, but got a funny feeling that both teams may be like, right, well, the treble's now on the table, let's go for it. So hopefully we pick them to that as well. Fingers crossed.
Oh, it would be lovely, wouldn't it? It would be absolutely lovely. As I say, we're tied at 7 trebles each, so it'd be lovely to set a new world record ourselves and go for the 8th. I must admit, I'm with Phil on this one, Wally. I don't really see there being too many changes from Saturday, with the exception perhaps of, I think Benji Siegrist will probably be the cup goalkeeper. Going forward, he obviously started against Ross County. But if Haksabanovic and Giacomakis are okay, I don't see any reason why you would, I think this kind of game is perfect for them getting more minutes under their belt. On the back of a hat-trick, I would be surprised to see Forrest out the team. Could you see anything else changing, or do you think it might be a pretty settled side for tomorrow night or Wednesday night?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with you guys. I don't think there were many changes, especially after that performance on Saturday. We've got 3 big games coming up, and we were talking about it before we came on, that we've got Hearts away and Livy away with Shakhtar in between. So 3 massive games coming up. So this could be a chance for these guys to kind of get a wee run out and show what they're made of again. I don't see many changes. I wouldn't mind seeing Siegrist get in. I'm a massive Hart fan. I know he's been getting a bit of stick, but I think Phil's right. I think Siegrist might be the cup goalkeeper this year, and he's an able replacement. And I'd like to see a bit more of Bernabei and the likes. Like I said, I think Taylor he's looking like he's dead on his feet the last few games. So these guys, I think, are probably due a wee run in the side. For me, he's been doing this kind of like when Jota got injured. They said that he was feeling fatigue and he was only going to play the first half. And the same with Haksabanovic, he's carrying a niggling injury, so he was only going to play the first half at the weekend. So, but for me, I think our depths that could, if they have got things like this, they shouldn't be put them on the bench and play these other guys, play the Meadas and Forrests, because they're more capable of going and getting the victory as they've shown on Saturday. So I agreed. Don't think there'll be many changes. Hopefully we play the same way and we're just as clinical and we can get a comfortable win.
Well, here's hoping. What would your score prediction be, mate? What would you say?
I'll go for a 4-0. I don't think they
look Celtic.
I watched them on Sunday. Watched them on Sunday and they didn't look great going forward, to be fair. They looked decent. They defended pretty well, although they were against a poor side, so you couldn't see much of that. I think if we play like we have been and we're clinical enough, we'll tear them apart.
Here's hoping. And what about yourself, Phil? What was your sort of scoreline predictions?
Well, I was talking to Mark and Regan, I said 2-0, so I'll just stick that, but it's a cup game. Hey, if it's a scrappy last minute goal, 1-0, and it gets us through to the next round, then hey, I'll take it as long as it gets us through. That's all that matters, man. So I'll go 2-0 though.
That's what I was going to go for. My usual hassle-free 2-0, and then hopefully good evening from Fuerteventura, my mate. I hope you're getting on okay. And I'll go for a hassle-free 2-0 as well and get us through to the sort of Hampden phase of the tournament, as it were. And just one final point tonight, boys, and I know that's at the hour. I know, obviously, Phil, you'll be leaving us soon to join us on the Boise bus, but I think the intro normally takes about 15 minutes anyway. So we've got plenty of time.
The Monday, my new role in the Monday Club is to do the the quiz at the end, the Sutton Death it's called. So about 10-15 minutes to go, I come in and make the Boise Borough's life a misery with a trivia question. So that's my role. So I've got some time.
Right, nice one. And we're just going to finish just one wee subject tonight, and it's again the agree to disagree section of the show, and as I say, it's in absolutely no way connected to the Lad Bible subject of the same persuasion. It's completely original. As I say, you've got 4 options: you either strongly agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. It's up to you, and then just argue whether or not what your sort of point of view on it. So I've just sort of came up one subject only tonight, but with 100 goals, 99 assists, and only being, I think, 5 or 6 trophies away from being the most decorated player in Celtic's history in terms of a player on the park, William, is the debate now closed about whether or not James Forrest can be classed as a bona fide Celtic legend?
Yes, I strongly agree with that. I think he is most definitely a legend. It's crazy to think that he's only 5 trophies away from being their most decorated player. That's a crazy stat, because I don't think many would put him up there. But it's all there to be seen. His stats are there. His trophy haul's there. He's quite an enigma for us, because I think he does split the fan base. But for me, everything he's given for the club, I think anybody that gets anywhere near 100 goals for the club I think it's just a crazy. Even it's just a dream for us all. The fact that he's came up through the youth, he's one of our own. We always love that. We've always have done, always will. He's a fan on one of us on the park. I think it's without doubt now. I think it was before this season. To stay at a club for that long, especially in this era where it just doesn't happen anymore. Players move and go, and they're at several clubs in their career. For somebody to stay and commit for as long, and Celtic have done as much for James Forrest as James Forrest has done for Celtic, to be fair. But I just think it's a marriage made in heaven, and he deserves every plaudit that comes his way. He's been a fantastic servant for Celtic, and he still will continue to be. And I think he will definitely get to that trophy haul and be our most decorated player, which is a mental stat.
Aye, that is crazy.
What would you say, Phil? James Forrest, Celtic legend for you?
Aye, I would. The options were, there was agree and strongly agree, wasn't there? Because I would go for agree, because it's a weird one, because for a lot of the time he's been there, he's not always been a first team regular, but he's still got the numbers to prove it, the trophies to prove it, and basing it on me personally, being a season ticket holder, I've been a season ticket 07, the best period that I've enjoyed was Brendan's era, just because we were winning everything. And there was a period there where he literally made the League Cup final just his own personal playground, where he scored in 3 finals in the bounce. 2015, he scored in the 2017 final we were in, and then the 2018 final, whatever it was, Motherwell, Aberdeen and Dundee United, those 3 games. So it was I came up with big goals at big moments. And, you always remember the trophy wins, the trophy lifts. So stuff like that. He's got the numbers to back it up. And I think the fact that he's came through the youth ranks, born and bred Celtic fans, going to add to it. Phenomenal player, and legendary status. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I have to say I do now as well. Of course, at a club like Celtic, we've got so many, as Kaiser says, icons, legends, whatever superlative you want to attach to so many players through our history. But I think he's earned it now. I think, and especially I think as well that, like you say, well, because he's came through the ranks, he's one of our own sort of thing, as Sean's saying here, a one-club man. They say there was just that, it did look like before Brendan came that he was perhaps on the road out. Perhaps these goals in the 2016 League Cup final were going to be his sort of farewell to the club, but he picked up a complete second wind under Brendan, and that's one of the things that Rodgers absolutely has to take credit for, amongst so many other things that he achieved when he was at Celtic. Not only making players better, but of course making the silverware, making a bit of a monopoly out of all the available silverware as well. And like you say, he more than featured in a lot of those games.
That's an interesting one.
You're bang on, Donny. That's one of the things, and that's what makes these debates so great. I mean, how do you I don't think there'd be anyone that would say that Paul McStay isn't a Celtic legend, and he gets it as well because of the fact, I think, he also had many opportunities to go to clubs where he could have been. There was the likes of Juventus and teams down south that came in for him. There's no reason to suggest that Juventus couldn't have. He could have went over there and been a tremendous asset, and he could have been a Champions League icon as well. But we'll stick to him being our maestro. But yeah, it doesn't always just come down to what trophies you've won. I agree. Anyone that says the maestro isn't a Celtic legend needs their head examined. But I think everyone here, I say, we'll give him that status, and it's very well deserved. But in terms of the show tonight, guys, that's us pretty much at the end. As I say, thanks to you two for being able to get an hour show out of this, considering the host for the night hasn't seen the full game yet, but we managed to, I think, go over all the main bits. It's always nice to talk about a 6-1 victory. Here's hoping there's plenty more of them throughout the course of the season. Phil, have you enjoyed being back on?
Always enjoyed it, mate. I'm always happy to come on to get this show and talk Celtic. So thanks for having me on, guys. Always happy to oblige.
No problem at all. You're welcome back anytime, my friend. And what about you, Wally? You've had a hectic day at work, but it's always good to come on and talk about the Celtic, isn't it?
Aye, this has made the day all right. Cheered me up again talking back about the weekend result, and looking forward to Wednesday night now. Hopefully get another thumping.
Fingers crossed. And just thanks again to everybody for watching along, and bringing up all your comments are welcome. As I say, we do have an issue. I know John's on the case to YouTube at the minute. We don't know what the issue is with the subscriptions at the moment, but hopefully that'll be back up and running sooner rather than later. I don't know if it's just a glitch on YouTube's side. And thanks to everyone who's taken part in the Super 6 League as well. As I say, I don't have the league table in front of me. I did see in the group chat, though, that I think Franco's back at the top, so it's probably best we don't run through it while I am. But well done, Franco. I forgot to put my entries in this week, as I often do, so nil pla for me this weekend, but I'll need to put some on for during the week or next week. And so if you want to do that, just go on to Super 6. As you can see, the codes there, get involved. It's a good wee laugh, and whoever wins it at the end of the season will get a wee prize out to you. And as I say, thanks again. And if you like what you're seeing, just we're like a restaurant. We're only going to grow through word of mouth. So if you're liking what you're seeing and hearing, tell your Celtic supporting pals and get them to tune in. As I say, Mondays and Fridays, 8 o'clock. And as I say, but that's enough from us for tonight. And if he's got over at the Boise bus, he should just be getting past the intro just now, I think, Phil. The boys will be getting wired into all the chat about Saturday's magnificent performance against Hibs again. So get straight over to that and join in the quiz with Phil from about 8:45. Yep. And that's what it's all about. And in terms of us, we shall see you again on Friday at the usual time. We'll be reviewing what will hopefully be a successful match against Motherwell and looking ahead to our trip to the Diet Cokes of Scottish football, perhaps on at the weekend. And thanks again, folks, for joining in. And hail, hail. Cheers.
Right, see you.
Cheers.